Hello, friends. It is July 15th, and I will be reading from Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. Glad you're here today. Do not worry about tomorrow. This is not a suggestion, but a command. I divided time into days and nights so that you would have manageable portions of life to handle. My grace is sufficient for you, but its sufficiency is for only one day at a time. When you worry about the future, you heap day upon day of troubles onto your flimsy frame. You stagger under this heavy load, which I never intended you to carry. Throw off this oppressive burden with one quick thrust of trust. Anxious thoughts meander about and crisscross in your brain, but trusting me brings you directly into my presence. As you thus affirm your faith, shackles of worry fall off instantly. Enjoy my presence continually by trusting me at all times. Beautifully written. The first verse I see is Matthew 6:34, and we already know that one. I hope. We've gone over it a couple of times. All right, so let's go into our YouVersion Bible app, and Matthew 6:34 reads, "Therefore, don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." So for me personally, I have been able to trust more in God and worry less about what's to come in my future, what's to come for tomorrow, how am I going to pay that bill, how am I going to pay that bill. But for me, I just worry about today, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. I just look at my agenda for the day and know what is for me, in front of me for the day. And I really don't worry about tomorrow like I used to. So the more I trust in the Lord, the more I trust in His provision, the less worried I am, the less anxiety I have about certain things. The next verse is 2 Corinthians 12:9. And that reads, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is perfected in weakness." Jesus is speaking, and I believe this is Paul because we're in 2 Corinthians, so he wrote the letter to the Corinthians, and it says, "But he said to me," so I'll go back up and look for a second, and then it's in red. So in my Bible, when it's the text is in red, I know that Jesus is speaking. So my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is perfected in weakness. In our weakness, we are strong through Christ. So just scrolling up, sufficient grace wasn't not profitable, but I will move on to visions. And I know a man in Christ who was caught up to so I believe this is Paul writing to the Corinthians, and then Paul spent 3 years with Jesus, and this I still have to look up. So before Paul started his ministry, his missionary trips, he spent 3 years with Jesus in the wilderness. That's what it says in the Bible. I'll find the text and put it up here. But I don't know what that means. Was Jesus in spirit form? Was Jesus really down with him and spent time with him like he did with the disciples? That is unknown. But Paul did spend this time with Jesus to prepare for his missionary work. So that is why it is written in red, because those words were really spoken to Paul. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is perfected in weakness. Okay, so the last verse we have for the day is in Psalm. Let me get up there. And we have verse 62, 8. Well, chapter 62, verse 8. And she wants the New King James Version. So I'm going to flop over there. Okay. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. And then it says Selah at the end. And I remember looking that up. And you'll see that at the end of certain psalms. So I'm going to go into my chat GBT and ask them again what that means. What does Selah at the end of Psalms mean? Okay. Selah is a Hebrew word that most scholars think means something like pause and reflect, stop and think about this, lift up or exalt. Okay, so let's go with pause and reflect. So again, it's trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. So now take that time and pause and reflect and remember all the ways that God has provided for the Israelites. And now remember all the ways that God has provided for you in the past. So, yes, Selah, S-E-L-A-H is the Hebrew word for pause and reflect. And you'll see that a lot in the book of Psalms. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this can encourage you to just worry about today. Don't worry about it, but don't worry about tomorrow. Let's put it that way. Just focus on today and what's ahead of you for today, the events for today, the conversations you'll have today, the encounters you have today, and do not worry about tomorrow. Put your trust in the Lord that he will help you through those events that are to come in the future. All right, the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Have an amazing day with full of blessings. Take care.